let me look and share with you some of the exciting activities that we are doing, and I'll focus only on one, and this is the Asia Pacific Leadership Conference. We have had 2 of them in October and in November. This is the program that we had. We don't need to go into the details, but in this Asia Pacific Leadership Conference, there were 6 principal education sessions. There was 1 sociological study on marriage and family. There were 3 internal guidance lectures, 2 from Dr. Yong and 1 from Amala Ahara, centering on Father's Life Course, and 2 case studies, the Cambodia and the Philippines. In order to evaluate these programs, what we did is to look at the Philippine Republic Act 11476. This was passed on June 25th, 2020, this year, just a few months ago. It is called the Good Manners and Right Conduct GMRC and Values Education. What it did is combine 2 bills, the House Bill 5829 and the Senate Bill 1224. The House Bill was more focused on the primary education and the Senate Bill more focused on secondary education. Together, it was K-12. And the government mandated that children in public and private schools must have 1 class session every day for character education, K-12, kindergarten to high school graduation. Okay, let's look at what happened. The beginning point, the declaration of the policy. The state recognizes the vital role of youth in nation building and promotes and protects their physical, moral, spiritual, and intellectual and social well-being. All right? So, I read through both of these bills, the Senate bill and the House bill and the Republic Act. Of course, there's similarity, there should be. And then in order to evaluate our program, the APLC, the Asia Pacific Leadership Conference program, well, we took 7 areas where we wanted to measure the effectiveness of our program against the standards of the government of the Philippines. Our survey at the end of this program to the graduates of our APLC program measured 7 areas. Building a patriotic spirit in youth. 2, developing our inherent human dignity and value. 3, accelerating social progress and human development. 4, uplifting moral, spiritual, and social well-being of students. 5, promoting universal values education. 6, advocating the role of parents in moral development of children. And 7, demonstrating the importance of marriage and family. The wordage that you see here is taken from these government acts, the Republic Act, the House and Senate bill. And then what we did is develop 7 questions focusing on those 7 areas. You can get them and lead through this. But what I want to do is look at the results. And we took a Likert scale, a 5-degree Likert scale, and we asked the graduates, based on these 7 areas, was this program, number 1, very poor, number 2, poor, number 3, fair, number 4, good, or number 5, excellent. So they, as graduates, rated the effectiveness of this program. But the questions are drawn from the Republic Act, legislation enacted by the government of the Philippines and signed into law by President Duterte. Look at the results. I'll post them down here. It's amazing. How many said it was very poor? 0. How many said it was poor? 0. How many said it was fair? 3%. How many said it was good? 24%. How many said it was excellent? 73%. If we combine these 2 together, good and excellent, we can say that this program was good or excellent 97% of the time. It's 97% effective in addressing what the government of the Philippines has legislated as mandatory character education K to 12. This we can take to the government. We can say we have a program that can help fulfill the legislative mandate that is needed, that is required for character education in the schools of the Philippines. Excuse me. If we get a model here in the Philippines, we can take that model throughout this Asia-Pacific 2 region, especially because we have the Oceania countries where they are also Christian-based countries. I think more importantly is this part. Graduates who said the program was very poor or poor, 0%. This is important because if we have a public education program, if people are critical of that program, it will go nowhere. It will be dead in the water. We have a program. There were people from different backgrounds. I think we had, I don't know, I've got the statistics coming up in a little bit. 417 participants, 114 graduates from, I think, 14 countries. So we had a vast variety of cultural and religious backgrounds and national backgrounds. The one question that got the highest percentage, 78%, has this program helped you to appreciate the importance of parents, the role they play in developing moral character in their children? 78% said yes. This is really important. Here's a graph that shows the same statistics. 73% said it was excellent, 24% said it was good, 3% said it was fair, and 0% very poor and poor. Here is the statistics. Batch 1 and Batch 2, we had 417 registered non-members and 114 graduated. Those represent 14 different nationalities, cultures, and religious backgrounds. I was particularly interested in this phrase from the Senate Bill 1224, Comprehensive Values Education, Section 9. When I read this, it kind of hit me because we are designing a program, it is called Backward Design Program, where you look for the final outcome. What is the ultimate goal that you want in character education? And this, to me, defined it. Parent-teacher partnership and collaboration in values education, in recognition of the natural and primary right and duty of parents in rearing the young for the development of moral character. So this says something. Who is going to be primarily responsible? Who has the primary duty, the primary right to raise the moral character of children? It's not the schools. It's the parents. When students of today become adults, it is important that they are able to help develop moral character in their children. It will be their primary right and duty, says Philippine legislation, when they become parents. In fact, this is everybody's goal. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights affirms that the family is the natural and fundamental group unit of society. So, the final outcome of values education is that students become occupied with a good job, that students become wealthy and make a lot of money. Is it that they become famous and get their star in Hollywood, yeah? Or is it that they have a new idea? These are not the outcomes of values education. They are the outcomes for secular education. So 2 types of education. Education to be smart. Yes, we want our children to be smart. We want them to get good jobs, make a lot of money, become famous, and have new ideas. Yes, yes, yes. But that is not the goal of character education. We also have to teach our children to be good. And that's what this bill, the Republic Bill, talks about. We need to do this. Which is more important? Of course, we know. We know. Good character is more important. We need both. It's not a question of one or the other. We need both. They both have to be together. It's a question of which is more important. Where is the priority? And clearly, it should be education to be smart, because this is universal. Education to be good. This is universal. Education to be smart is unique. Each one of us will be smart in some unique way, but we all need to be good in the same way. So the final outcome of values education is that students become good parents, because they have the responsibility to raise good children. It's that simple. We can say true parents. We can say good parents. That's our final goal. In order to be good parents, what's the previous step to that? Well, before you're good parents, you have to be good husband and wife. Conjugal love. So the parental love, before parental love, you have conjugal love. Well, what is before conjugal love? Brother and sister or sibling love. So to be a good parent, you also have to be a good brother and sister. You have to know how to treat your sister correctly, not as a sex object, but as a daughter of God. And Mother is giving us this education. This is the education that we need. Women should realize they are the daughters of God and act accordingly. And men should realize my sisters are the daughters of God and treat them accordingly. And what is a precondition to sibling love? It's filial love, honoring and loving our parents. So if we love our parents, then we take that into the next level of love. We know immediately how to treat brothers and sisters so that we honor our parents. We treat our brothers and sisters to give joy and honor to our parents. And how do we treat husbands and wives? The same way. To give honor and joy to our parents. In fact, your parents should be living with you, 3 generations living together. That's the best way. We just had a granddaughter. We were in Chicago. My wife was there for 3 months. I was there for 2 months. And I'm realizing, wow, single parent motherhood is very, very, very difficult. Why? You have 2 hands. If you're living together with your husband, you've got 4 hands. And if you're living together with grandparents, if you've got 1 set of grandparents, you've got 6 hands. And if you've got both grandparents, you've got 8 hands. And the grandparents love to sit and hold the child and let the child go to sleep. And then mommy can take a rest or help what she may need to do. Daddy, of course, has a job to do, generally speaking. So 3 generations living together is not just a nice ideal. It's 8 hands, 8 hearts working together to raise that child. A woman that has to do that by herself, it was never meant to be that way. God never wanted single-parent motherhood. He wanted intact families, even 3-generation families living together. Going back to our original ideal, we know that there are 2 fundamental ideals. The first blessing, to be fruitful, means learning to live for the sake of others. Filial piety, learned in the family, honoring our parents. That's where it begins. Then you take that filial heart, apply it in brother-sister relationships, and apply it in the pair system principle, and you end up honoring marriage. These 2 virtues are the central point of character education, and they need to be taught in the schools. In the beginning, the primary school, you can teach living for the sake of others. Children are young, but they can understand. How do they attend to parents? Their parents. They can learn that very easy, and how they attend to brothers and sisters. When they become in their teenage years, then we can introduce the concept of the importance of sacredness of marriage and family and purity. That they need to prepare for marriage by saving themselves for marriage. These 2 values are learned in the family. The family is the central point of the kingdom of heaven. So we talk about Vision 2020. Well, what is it? Well, UPF now has 6 different, what are they called, primary associations. 1, heads of state. 2, lawmakers. 3, business executives, educators, media, and religious leaders. What if each of these primary associations of UPF took on itself to promote, protect, and defend the family? The goal is the same, but they would use different methods and different mechanisms. The goal is the same, but the process would be different. Let's take an example. Heads of state. Then we have also YSP, the Youth and Students for Peace, and Women's Federation. Let's take an example. Heads of state. How would they promote marriage and family? Well, one of the easiest things to do would just be to hold a marriage celebration and attend it. Have the biggest venue and have the head of state come as the chief guest. Of course, it's best if the personal lifestyle and the public policy of those heads of state are in harmony, but that's rarely the case anywhere in the world. So which is more important? Clearly, their public policy is more important because that's what will set the foundation for the culture. So the head of state, whatever background he may come from, that doesn't matter. It's his public statement. If he can come and attend these marriage blessings, then he will send to his nation an educational signal. Marriage is important. Young people will see and hear that. That's all it takes. 1 day a year, he can do that. 1 event, he can come. What would the lawmakers do if they wanted to promote marriage and family? Well, they would make laws that are family friendly. They would set tax laws that would encourage and support the family. What about the business leaders? Well, again, any business leader knows that children that grow up in families where they have a culture, they have respect, they're better employees. If I go to America and apply at a Walmart store at my age, and then a young guy that has more energy than me applies, they're going to give me the job because they know the culture that I grew up in is different. I'm not going to go there and complain and sue them and go on strike and lead demonstrations. That's not my culture. So the culture of the intact family is important for business. Another problem that we have that can be solved, the business-wise, parity, economic parity. Everyone is talking about this. The racial issue is an economic issue. The disparity between blacks and whites economically. The best way to solve that, I saw a study done in America where they filtered out all of the factors except one, intact family. And they looked at black intact families, their economic achievements, and compared that to the white intact families, their economic achievement. Guess what? They're on parity, within 2% of their economic foundation. Wow. What about educators? And this is what the government is asking here. This is why this second daughter nation, the external side is prepared. Cain has developed that foundation. We need to work together, Cain and Abel. And Masaichi Hori coming from Japan is an important condition for this to happen. We need to bring him here. We need to get him here. He has an office and a bed, and he needs to come here and live with us as soon as he can. This must be the primary focus of our administration here in the Philippines. How can we get Masaichi Hori? Already, President Dunkley is in Cambodia. Masaichi Hori should be here in the Philippines. Let's take this initiative, very important, and get him to come here to the Philippines as quickly as we can. The media. What if the media focused on marriage and family? And the media doesn't just mean the newspapers or the internet. It means the entertainment industry. And if we put the value of marriage and family into the entertainment industry, into the media, we can change the culture. It's not impossible. We have this dream of building a better world because it's so simple, not because it's hard, because it's very, very easy. Just bring the institution of marriage into these areas. And the religious leaders. What if the religious leaders got together and said, the one thing that we have in common is All religions talk about honoring their parents. They do it in different words. All religions talk about living for the sake of others. No religion teaches to be selfish. In fact, they teach the opposite. Don't be selfish. And all religions honor marriage. They have different ceremonies, but these are the common elements. And the religions of the world need to start working together on these universal values. And then we have YSP and WFWP, the Women's Federation. That's it. If we start teaching the importance of marriage and family in all of these institutions, we can build Cheon Eui Won by 2027. We can fulfill Mother's goal of 1/3 of the humankind. We are hopeful and optimistic not because we're crazy people, but because True Mother has laid out such a clear vision for what needs to be done. The religious leaders need to lead the way. And then we have to have heads of state and lawmakers and business people and educators and media. Let us work together on these universal values. We talk about interdependence and we talk about mutual prosperity. Interdependence, oh, we all want peace. Mutual prosperity, okay, we all want development. Without peace, there's no development. Without development, there's no peace. Yes, but the key is universal values. What are these universal values? 1, living for the sake of others. Mind-body unity, filial piety. 2, honor marriage and family. For young people, protect your purity is the best way to prepare to be faithful in marriage. If you play around before marriage, then likely you will cheat on your husband and wife. So let's teach our young people. We don't have to judge them. We have to educate them. In fact, we shouldn't judge because they would rebel that. And then at the appropriate age, we can teach that when they get into their early teens. I want to thank you again for this time together. I'm very happy to be back in the Philippines. I believe we have an opportunity to advance the Providence, and the Philippines can set the model of having a religious-based character education program. Cain has already established their side. Abel needs to respond. This is the second daughter's mission. This is what our True Mother is doing. Please join me in prayer.